This is a full review of One Piece live-action series. From the get-go I should say it was way better than I expected. I do not know about you, but I, personally had not a high expectations. It is Netflix, an anime live adaptation we are talking about after all. First let's talk about characters. Casting for main characters and most of side characters, with some minor exceptions like Ban Bachman or Shanks, was amazing. My favorites was Zoro, and Usopp. If we are not talking about main characters it is definitely Mihawk, and Zeph. When it comes acting, Nami's actress was amazing, all the Straw Hat actors were really good, but I have some questions about Usopp's actor. Mostly because he had not much screen time and his moments to show of, but what we see from him, was good. Also loved Zoro's, and Luffy's actors. I was not sure about Luffy's actor, at first, but eventually I liked it. I think it is really hard to play Luffy, because you have to capture cartoonish nature of Luffy, and Iñaki absolutely managed to do that. Only nitpick I had is that, because of his accent, when he was calling out his moves, it sounded off-putting. Other than that I had no problem. Also everyone talks about, including me, how Zoro's actor is dedicated for his role, how he pierced his ears to wear 3 earrings, and how he knows how to use swords, but no one talks about how Sanji's actor learned cooking and kicking for his role. I loved Helmappo's actor as well. He was amazing. I liked Buggy as well. I think he had too much of a horror clown vibes, but still. His actor's performance was amazing. When it comes negatives I was not a big fan of Garp's portrayal. He looked more like guy with anger issues, than cheerful old man. But there was some good moments, like when he talks with Koby, how he turned down promotion to Admiral, because he wanted to be free. Also Koby, I was not big fan of him either. He was too much coward, so much so it became annoying. But also in this case there was some nice moments like, when, in last episode Koby stand up for Luffy, in front of Garp. It was nice to see something like that, from him. I did not like Shanks's, and Arlong's actors. Both of them had not a charisma that their anime and manga counterparts had. Now let's talk about story. This must have been hardest part for writers to condense almost 80 chapter of manga into 8 episode. There was cut out many good moments and some parts were rushed because they were running out of time. That became most apparent into last 2 episodes. I think we needed bit more time to spend at Kokoyashi village, and also needed bit more flashing out of relationship between Fishman's, and humans, and Arlong's character itself. Also should mention that Arlong vs Luffy was not as dramatic in live action, as it was in anime. That fight was condensed into 2 attacks, it felt like they run out of budget. There was some changes, from manga, and anime of course. Some made sense, but some was questionable, like, I do not get why they changed some characters' races, Nami's sisters for example. I liked that they decide to give more screen time to Garp and Koby, it was good choice, but I think, some point it became too much, and also whole stuff with Garp, and him testing Luffy was kinda stupid, if you ask me. Also some scenes, like a Sanji's, and Zeph's goodbye was more emotional in anime. I mean it was good in live action too but still. I loved that, for last part they chose Beryl scene, when everyone declares their dreams. I think in general 9 or 10 episode would be better, and I heard that originally it was planned as 10 episode show. Maybe it costed too much, I mean I did not blame them, it was already high enough price. Or maybe they preferred to split budget on 8 episode instead of 10 so there would be spent more money on each episode. I do not know. One thing is clear that money was well spent. I love that they actually built the ships and all sets, and they actually used practical effects instead of relying on CGI. Out of sets, that they built Baratie, was my favorite. It looked majestic. Also they used puppets for Den Den Mushi. I did not expected that. Loved prosthetics, that was used on Fishman's. It looked so good. One thing I thought I would not like, it was humor, but surprisingly I liked it. Of course it was not anime level, but still. I really liked some gags, like, when Zoro is wounded, and Nami asks Luffy to go to Barity to find a doctor, and Luffy thinks she sends him for a food, and answers, I am not hungry. Or when last episode Usopp, Zoro, and Sanji standing together, and Nami runs towards them. Sanji expects Nami to hug him but Nami instead hugs Zoro and Usopp. Also loved moment when Mr. Seven tries to recruit Zoro, and Zoro responds, they should have sent someone better than number 7. That was savage. I also should mention, that music was amazing. I loved soundtrack, especially one that plays during intro, and also Buggy's soundtrack. In general this live action was not as good as anime, but it was pretty good.